Alright, welcome to Morty Unlocked, where we do all things, talk about all things music, life, and whatever tickles your fancy. Today, we're going to talk about creating your own melody loop in FL Studio. Now, this will be a basic run through, all the basic requirements you may need to create your own type of loops using inspiration from other instrumentation or completely from scratch off the top of your head. Today we're gonna more or less do this from scratch, so we'll be figuring out the sound along the way, but I will be using cymatics. We'll get more into cymatics in just a second. So first things first, we have ourselves a basic FL template open. I don't have anything special in it. If you are making music, you are making beats, I would recommend creating a template for yourself. I do have templates. I can show how to make that in another video, but for now we're just talking about making your own melody loops. Alright, and pretty much a loop is a bit of instrumentation, keys, synth, other sounds that can be used as melodies in rap songs, and as the name suggests, they go for 4 to 8 bars and then they start over again. A lot of pre-made loops out there, but it's also fun to create our own. So from this one, we are gonna have a little bit of help. I'm going to use, let's see here. So I got a whole bunch of cymatics, and you guys can check out cymatics online. They got all kinds of sample packs, loop packs, drum kits for free or for really cheap. I have the Posty pack right here. I'm just gonna click on that, and it looks like I already got MIDI selected. So what MIDI is just the pure digital form of the loop. So if I click on it, I can't hear it. We have to choose a generator for that. So let's see, I'll choose this one, MIDI loop 3, 130 BPM. Make sure this is set to the same amount. We're gonna click here on our channel rack. Channel rack is right there, and we're gonna click the plus button. And if you hear me sniffling, I am getting over a cold, so I do apologize about that. Please bear with your boy. And I'm gonna go down here and choose flex right there. So now flex should come already with most versions of FL if it's updated, and of course, just like with the cymatics, they have free packs you can download. These are all the free ones that I've been able to download over the last year and a half or so that I've had Flex. Flex is amazing. We're gonna go to Essential Pianos because I want a simple key base. A lot of melodies, if you listen to them, they have keys in the background. Even if they're not obvious, there's always some type of piano going on most of the time. So we're gonna start there. And what you want to do, I always like to detach. Okay, it's already detached. All right. What I like to do is, or what we're gonna have to do is take this MIDI loop, just click on it, drag it on to the grand piano, and you see that right there. Now we got our keys right there. It's in pattern 1 already, so I'm just gonna click and let's hear how that sounds. We can make something out of that. What I'm gonna do first is route this to a mixer. Let's do 5. Bring my mixer up, 5 right there, and let's just name it keys bass, since this is the base of the melody, right? And I like to label my keys and my bass rhythms as green. I would recommend getting into the habit of naming and coloring your instruments, patterns, mixers as soon as you can, so that way it saves you. And I just hit shift and left click, and it took me right to that. All right, shift left click is the shortcut. All right, a lot of hotkeys get used. So now we can see, if I go back to the mixer, you see it right here. Now how I like to do things, first off, let's see if we can update this just a little bit. Let's see if we can add any of our own charm to it. What's this right here? Okay, so we double clicked on the pattern and it took us to the piano roll. Now if you want to hear certain parts like that, all you have to do is hit Alt and right click. Alt, right click, and you can listen to bits and pieces. So I'm gonna zoom out here, scroll down. So this looks like, all right. Let's see. How much of this can we update? Let's see. That sounds a bit meaty, right? And you know, let's drag some of these a little bit. They don't have to be exactly on time. In fact, most of the time you kind of want them to have like a strum type feel to them. It feels more real and it's not hitting so hard with the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, anything else you decide to throw on top of that. Let's not make it too obvious, right? And honestly, I'm gonna control and left click and select all of this and just hit delete. We don't need any of that. We can always copy and paste later if we need to. Oops, didn't mean to click that. We're making this very obscure for a reason, trust me. Now what I'm going to do is control again, right click, and highlight these notes at the bottom. I'm just going to drop the velocity. Okay, so there's a little bit of articulation in that, but it'll sound dope. So I'm gonna put that right there. And now inside Flex, we can mess around with the settings in here. Let's see how the tone sounds. Chorus. Maybe update the space. Give it some more space. Alright, now what I'm going to do next is go to slot 1, select, and I love FL's EQ. I go to the parametric EQ 2. It's just more visually pleasing to look at. And to give it that radio effect, what we want to try to do is drop out the higher frequencies and definitely the lower frequencies. It's a good habit to get rid of these lower frequencies, especially when you're making hip hop. The less lower frequencies you have, the less you have competing with the bass and the kick, which is really the backbone of a lot of hip hop music. So as you'll see, I don't really go by numbers, I just go by how it sounds. How does it sound? How does it feel? And up here we can change each band. We can change the shelf. So I like to do low shelf on these. On the very ends, do some type of low shelf on the low end, high shelf on the high end. All you gotta do is just click on it and drag up, drag down, and then down here is how steep it is. I make it very steep. I also use my scroll wheel on my mouse. I scroll up, makes it less steep, scroll down, makes it more steep. It might be a little inverted for you, so let's drag that in. Now I will be actually adding a little low end synth bass to this just in case, but we're going to do that in just a little bit. So that's the EQ. Make sure we hit our Control S. Make sure we're saving as we're going. Please save as you go. Control S, Control S, Control S. All right, you never know when this shit's gonna crap out on you. So what I'm gonna choose next is, let's see, do I want to do flanger? Let's try that. Remember, we're just kind of going with the flow on this one. I have a general idea of how I want this to sound. Make the depth up, turn the depth up a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more wet. Remember, I'm just going by how it feels, how it sounds, how it looks in my head. I'm not paying too much attention to what frequency it's at or what this point, whatever. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit. Now, we need a melody to go over this, right? Once again, shift, left click, use bass. I'm gonna color it the same way. Now I'm gonna do a new pattern, key, lead, or mellow, or harmony, whatever you want to call it. As long as you know what it is that you're doing, just label it, all right? And just hit enter. I'm gonna put that down here. And yes, I always start my everything I make about 4 bars in. I don't know, there's just something about having my shit start at the very beginning. I just don't feel comfortable with that, but personal preference. All right, now let's see what we got. So I'm gonna go in and add another instrument generator plugin, whatever you want to call it, and I'm gonna do flex again because flex is good for a lot of good shit. So first I'm gonna click note on the channel rack, route this to 6 on the mixer, so that way I can hear and test out different things. You hear that? We want something a little belly, tinkly, or just, you know, something that can stick out with some staccato-like articulation. So let's see. Dark chocolate. Okay, not what I had in mind, but let's just go. I'm gonna turn the sense up, 1200. Let's come up with a little melody. I have to click these in because my keyboard is not on me at the moment. Oh, oops. Make sure you have the right pattern selected, all right? I'm hearing. Let's see, let's make these nice for. Let's have this add some character to it. Okay, so we got a melody. Alright, just coming up with something. Route this to 6. I'm just gonna call it key lead for now. Same color as last time. Enter, enter. And I'm gonna do a similar thing that I did by dropping the high end and the low end. And I actually want to go in. I don't know if I want to use dark chocolate anymore, so let's try some other ones. Ooh. Alright, let's fix that. There we go. Now, something that I've noticed a lot of loops have, which is not too obvious, is a little through line, typically at the top or at the bottom. We'll add it at the top. So we're just gonna add this, and we're going to change the velocity dramatically. Not dramatically, but we're gonna change it quite a bit. Have it kind of just in the back, just kind of doing its thing. Shit, I want to make it more dramatic. There we go. Now I'm going to hit Control, left click, and I'm going to hit Control B as in boy, drag this over. And then I'm going to leave it selected, Control B as in boy again, and let's drop it down. And honestly, you could do that on its own separate thing or on the same pattern but in a different sound and route it to its own separate channel if you want to get really creative. But we can add it all together here for now. doesn't sound bad. It doesn't sound bad. We can still do more to it. So what I'm gonna do is add a little reverb. Those who know me know I gots to have my reverb. You feel me? So cathedral. Let's separate it a little bit. Make it slightly less damp. Turn the decay down a little bit. Turn the wetness down a little bit. Let's hear how it sounds without the click. Alright, so I'm going to turn the keys down a little bit more. Alright, let's add another layer to it. We don't need too much layers. Too many layers. We don't need too much layers. Alright, synth bass. I always do my bass in like a purplish color. Don't know why, I just do. And I'm gonna go back to the channel rack. I'm gonna plus it. And this time I'm gonna go with the 3S oscillator. By the way, everything I'm using is found in the FL already. These are all stock plugins. And FL ain't no slouch when it comes to the stock plugins. You feel me? I'm gonna go up. Let's see. I'm going to go to channel presets. 3X oscillator, and I'm going to choose synth bass number 5. And very similar to what we did before with flex, we're going to drag and drop it over the synth bass plugin. I'm going to choose 7, and I'm just going to click on it so I can hear it. Doesn't sound sexy, does it? But you know what this sound is going to be, right? You'll see in a second. So you want that deep. It sounds better on FL than I can do it. Sorry you had to hear that. Alright, so I'm going to actually click on the oscillator itself. I'm going to click on the gear. I'm going to go here to the envelope. And I'm going to go to Mod X and disable that. So instead of hearing instead of that, and now we're going to drop the pitch down a whole octave. We're going to drop the key down a whole octave. So this piano roll down here, we're going to right click on C7. And we're not going to hear anything. Let's see what's going on. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. This is going to be more to taste, but Mod X filter, I usually do it. Like I said, I don't pick a percentage, but it tends to fall between 25 and 30%. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I right clicked on C7. Now we can hear it. Now I'm going to go to the wrench right here, and we're going to turn off this key Mod X on this side right here. We're going to right click on it and hit reset. You hear the difference? We're going to change the, we're going to click mono here. Now this slide, we'll come back to what this slide is, okay? The slide is very important, but we need to have mono selected for that. Alright, we got it to sound how we want it to. Now, let's choose some notes. Well, let's see. I'm losing my key reference here, so what are we on right now? So B, so let's try B on the synth bass. So remember that slide we talked about earlier? When you drag the synth bass slightly over the previous note, it slides nice and smooth over. Let's hit Control and right and left click and drag this up an octave. And then let's keep it going. That sounds hot. Okay, so you hear what I'm going for, right? Make sure we have nothing seeping over the edge, so that way our patterns stay nice and neat. So like that. I like that a lot. So what I'm gonna do first is, I'm a big fan of variation, so I want the first part of this to have no synth bass in it, and I want the second half to have synth bass, just to give people an option if they want to mix it with the synth bass in, or if they want to mix it without the synth bass. That's what I would want. So I'm gonna hit Control, select, and I'm gonna hit Control B, and it's gonna duplicate everything over here. I'm just gonna drag this over here. So let me. Okay, now we want this to be a little bit more in the background, right? So let's make this a little bit more mono, so it's not too spread out. So we're gonna merge it, and that sounds about right. And we're gonna just turn it down just a little bit. So now I'm gonna go back to the EQ. EQ is very important. And I'm just going to clean up a little bit of the low end. Bring this up just a little bit. And I'm going to take the mid-range, bring that up just a little bit. Now, I personally love this touch. I've heard it before. I went in to slot 3 and I chose Fruity Chorus. Yet another fruity basic plugin that comes preset in here. So I chose CE Chorus. Not sure what CE stands for. I'm gonna sterilize it just a little bit. It kind of adds a little bit more of that feeling, even though we merged it a little bit. I'm gonna unmerge it a little bit. I'm gonna separate it just a little bit. And then wet only to yes makes it more obvious. Control S. Alright, so this lead right here, little distorted for my taste. So what I'm gonna do is right click on the key lead track and solo it out. And let's play around with the sound a little bit. I like that better. Now, there's nothing wrong with adding a little delay. Now, delay is touchy. Fruity Delay 3, best delay ever as far as stock delay is concerned. We're gonna add just a touch of this. We're gonna experiment with it, see how it sounds. Like I said, we're kind of just making this off the top of our heads. That's one of the beauties of making music, is just kind of coming up with shit, and y'all are doing this with me, so. Okay, so as you can hear, there's a lot of decay, there's a lot of feedback on this. So I like the delay time where it's at 4, and instead of putting it on stereo, let's hear how it sounds on ping pong. I'm a big fan of panning and effects bouncing from side to side. Let's see. So we could turn the level of feedback down a little bit, and we could turn the cutoff down as well, so that way it's not going on. No. We still want to hear the actual melody as well. Also, we're going to want to turn the wetness down a little bit. The whole point of the delay on this, we want it to add flavor. We want it to make it a little bit more bigger, add more character to it, but we don't want it to be super obvious that it's delayed. And then my favorite part of the delay is dropping the tone down. There. Let's see, diffusion. Let's turn the level of diffusion up and then spread that diffusion out so it kind of dissipates. Let me go back to stereo. Okay, so now I'm going to right click on the track again to unsolo it. Okay, now I'm gonna double click on this and I realize I love these, but they're just a little too obvious. So I'm gonna turn these down just a little bit more. And this would be the benefit of having them separated from everything else. So I'm just gonna select them all and I'm just gonna drop this down just a little bit more, so on and so forth. It's a long way to do it, but I personally like doing things intricately. I don't mind going in and doing gritty little work like this. There we go. Alright, now if we want to add more character to it, we can pan it. Everything's already selected, so if I click up here, I can just click it and just drag. Alright, now I'm curious to see how this piano sounds when it's lower. So I'm going to drop the cents down to negative 1200. That almost sounds cool, but the piano is just a little too low for my taste, so we'll leave it at 0. The whole point of this is to figure out what works and experiment. I very much encourage experimenting. A lot of the best stuff, my dad taught me this, a lot of the best stuff you'll ever come up with is just going to come by messing around. And that's it. Now, anything else beyond this would be up to taste. I recommend keeping your loops simple for now and getting a basic understanding of what you're doing with layering, because you have to understand people are going to take these loops and then they're going to continue to mix them and chop them up. So you don't want to make them too convoluted. You don't want to do too much with them, but experiment with different kinds of loops. At the end of this video, I'll throw a beat to it so you guys can hear what it sounds with the beat. But other than that, that's it. That's how you make a loop. Very simple, very easy. Just make sure you export it. It's going to export as MP3. Actually, you want to export it as a wave. You can name it anything. We'll just call it wavy loop, and you want to include BPM. So this is in 127 BPM, and you want to include the key. I believe it was D. If it's not, we can always go back and check, and then save it. And that's it. That's how you make your loop. Please check back in again. Any suggestions that you guys have, anything that I missed that you want me to talk about, please mention it down below. I got links to my beats and my other socials in the description. Thank you for joining me on this first video. Looking forward to working with y'all in the future. This was Morty Unlocked. Y'all take care.